Welcome to my channel and welcome to the video where I will show you everything which I have colored during October. October for me personally was a difficult month. A lot of difficult moments, disappointments, and I also didn't feel quite well during 2 last weeks. And in the end of the month I would say that I am almost totally lost my coloring mojo and inspiration. But anyway, I still managed to do a lot of works, and I am glad that I managed to do Halloween pictures also. My favorite book during the whole month was Autumn Scenes by Teresa Goodrich, and let's start from it. Here I managed to finish 4 pictures. I think that there were 4. And let's start from this one. I decided to make at least one night scene. I didn't want to do anything with blue sky again, so this time I decided to do nice warm yellow light inside of the house. And I would say that in October I worked a lot with my orange and yellow pencils. Usually they are not my favorite colors, but for all pumpkins and all autumn leaves they were very helpful, so October definitely was yellow-orange month for me. It was a little bit difficult to do more or less realistic straw, but I think that in the end I managed to do it. I am glad that I converted this page into a night scene, and I love this combo of deep blue and orange and yellow colors. Next picture I colored completely with Inktense, and I am quite happy. I consider Inktense one of the best mediums if you want to do fall pictures. Inktense have beautiful colors for fall leaves, all those olive, yellow, green colors. They have nice selection of yellow colors for flowers, for sunflowers, and of course they have nice variety of orange and red colors for the pumpkins, for berries, and the whole picture made totally with Inktense. I love how Inktense work on this paper. Even if they bleed through a little bit, of course for one-sided book it's totally not a problem, but I love that they created very bright picture, and I'm glad that I managed to color this page without adding other brands of pencils. But my favorite finished page in Autumn Scenes was colored with Prismacolors. I did this pumpkin scarecrow, and I consider it as one of my best finished pictures during October. I love it. It was time consuming because I used here a lot of various green colors. I really tried to show some kind of perspective using brighter and warmer colors on the foreground, and then moving to the hills which are far from us, I tried to use more subdued and colder colors. So I mixed a lot of greens, a lot of yellow colors, brown colors, but in the end I'm very happy how this page looked. Next I did this very simple, very quick page. It's colored completely with watercolors. I decided to do it after I read comment in Facebook group that it's totally impossible to work in Creative Haven books using watercolors. And here I wanted to show that even if paper is far from real watercolor paper, it's still totally possible to work with water-based mediums like Inktense or like regular watercolors. I had some bleeding through, but as I said, here it's totally unimportant, but I do love how watercolors behave on this paper. They didn't create any ugly stains. It was possible to work with a wet on wet technique, So I played a lot with all my yellow, golden, orange, red, olive colors. I worked with a lot of water here. I started with yellow, I dropped a little bit of orange, a little bit of Bordeaux or claret paints. For other leaves I mixed various shades of green, so for me personally it was a nice study in using watercolors. Of course, watercolors became lighter after drying, but I applied 2 or 3 layers and I didn't have any problems with the surface of the paper, any peeling, any damage of the paper. So this page, it's not very inspiring in design. I didn't want to do it with pencils, definitely it's not inspiring. But to play with watercolors to start practicing, it was very nice. It was very quick and fun. And finally, I did this spooky picture. I was asked to do at least one true Halloween scene in this book and I selected this house. I converted it into House of the Witch. So that's why my black cat has this green halo around, because I consider it's a magical cat. And I tried to use all those intense blue, violet, magenta, orange and bright green colors, which for me are perfect for creating Halloween scene. I hoped to do more, but unfortunately that was all which I managed to do in autumn scenes. And if we started to talk about Teresa Goodrich, let me show you another book. It was Main Street. I colored it on the maybe 1st or 2nd day of October, and I finished this candy corner. I am quite proud of this page, most of all because I managed to show play of light and shadow. All those light reflections from the windows on the street, on the pavement, all those shadows on the street and on the walls, then highlights from the lamp and from the windows on the street which is below the candy corner. So I'm quite proud of this page. Everything is colored with Prismacolors as usual. Then after I finished it, I made a quick break from this book. I was afraid that I started to repeat myself to use the same colors for the walls, for the windows, but now I feel that I again miss this book, so I hope that in November I will do another page here. Continuing Halloween theme, let's have a look at Romantic Country. And here I did a very popular page. I think that this page is one of the most popular Halloween pictures, and during previous 4 years, during the whole October, I watched various works by other colorists in this book, on this page, and I was thinking that it's a nice design, but I don't like to color in a Romantic Country. So now, when I finally managed to find a way, when I finally got acquainted with this book, I decided that I also want to color this one. I discovered that I actually like to use neon colors to create backgrounds in this book. I didn't have any problems with the page on the back. So first I used neon colors and then I added a lot of sparkles. I hope that you can see orange and blue and pearlescent. I used pearlescent watercolors. And the rest of the page I colored with polychromasis. It was my first attempt to use polychromasis in this book. What can I say? I still consider this paper in this book quite strange. And I can't say that either Prismacolors or polychromasis are perfect, but it's still possible to use both brands. So I think that in the future, when I plan to do my next colorings in this book, I can use both brands. At least I'm quite happy that I decided to do this page, and I'm quite happy with its final look. And I love that background is so sparkly. My next Halloween picture is also very sparkly, but considerably more spooky, considerably more frightening. It's a pity that in Alan Roberts' book I managed to do only one page, but I'm totally happy with it. Again, I used neon colors and pearlescent watercolors for the background, and I love that contrast which I created between this shining background and surface of the main image. Main image I colored with polychromasis. I am glad that more or less I managed to stay in a limited color palette. I love that all our attention goes to this haunted gramophone and also to the face of the girl, but that all other elements are also not lost. I always love to work on this paper. Paper is perfect for all mediums, both water-based and for various pencil brands. It's a pity that I managed to do only one page, but maybe I need to return more frequently to this book. I had maybe 2 more pictures in my plans in this book, but unfortunately I didn't have enough free time. Maybe the most happy thing which happened to me during October is that I managed to use various mediums. There were months during summer, for example, where I colored almost all my pictures with Prismacolors, or maybe one with polychromasis. But in October I managed to use pencils, Inktense pencils, neocolors, watercolors, and I am really happy because of it. In Botanicum I experimented with backgrounds. I did this spread with dahlias. I decided to color them with fantasy colors. On the left side I used neocolors for the background. Honestly, I started to color this page mostly because I purchased myself new Opera Rose color of watercolors, which I used here on the flowers, and also deep blue Inktense pencil, which I didn't have in my set. So I wanted to use it and I used it. Finally, I purchased it and I used it here on the leaves. And there started my color palette. Then I decided to create this background using neocolors, and it was beginning of my Botanicum October journey. After I did this neocolor background, I decided to use similar colors but with other mediums. I used for the next page Ecoline liquid watercolors, and I did this background with similar colors but with different medium. It was interesting study, but let's have a look on this right side first. Here I used regular watercolors as a first layer on the background and then added a lot of sparkles. They are pink pearl, using fine-tech Kolero paints. Then I used a lot of golden Posca on the dragons, and flowers, dahlias, I colored with Inktense, and it was a very pleasant experience. I am glad that finally I use Inktense more frequently and not only in the books by Lizzie Mary Cullen. So I am quite happy with my fantasy dahlias. And I am glad that I did this autumn portrait. I am quite happy with the background. It was much quicker comparing to background made with neocolors. As I said, I used Ecoline liquid watercolors, and after this experiment I definitely will consider them as one of the best mediums for the backgrounds. I will continue my experiments. I simply need to purchase more colors. But for now I am glad, and this lilac and purple colors created perfect contrast to all those yellow, orange and warm green colors which I used for the girl itself. I can say that I started to enjoy more coloring in Maria Trolle's book, but when I am not fully in love with the image, it's easy for me to experiment with various mediums. I don't feel pressure that I can mess up image, and that's why I can color in this book quite quickly and easy. And somehow I managed to finish 3 pages in this book. Not bad. Another one of my experiments I made in the book by Tomoka Tashiro. I have English edition and I do love pictures here, but I am not in love with paper. You know, if you follow my channel, that for previous pictures I tried to use neocolors and even pastel colors of neocolor crayons. They bleeded through, and I was a little bit disappointed, because for many backgrounds I would like to use watercolors. Many designs are so detailed that I don't feel that I will be able to do them totally with pencils only, and I wanted to use watercolors, but I don't want to use to have bleeding through, of course. So finally, after I got clear gesso, I have prepared this page with clear gesso, and it was my first time using it. Usually I simply work on paper, so it was my first attempt to use clear gesso, and I was totally happy. I don't have any problems here. My watercolors worked well on top of clear gesso, and my pencils worked well. Mostly I used here Arteza and a little bit of polychromosis. Gesso created very silky surface, and I didn't have problems working on top of it. In the very beginning I didn't want to finish this page, I only wanted to experiment. But then I realized that I do like its look, and I finished it, and now I am quite happy that I can add another illustration to my collection of fairy tales finished pictures. Let's have a look at the next book, and it will be Sweet Chapé. Here I finished 1 page. I did it recently when I didn't feel totally well. It was still a little bit difficult for me to color with pencils, but with watercolors it was possible to do this very quick project. As usual, first I did a watercolor underpaint, and I discovered that new colors of White Nights, all their pastel colors with a lot of white, colors like peach, pink, lavender, royal blue, they are very helpful if you want to color glass or if you want to color sweets. And for the rest I used regular watercolors, and on top of it I worked with my Kohinoor Mondeluz pencils and a little bit with Arteza. I am glad that I have returned to this book. Another one finished project. Sweet Chapé is one of my most completed books. I'm not sure that one day I will be able to finish it, because it has several designs which are totally non-inspiring for me, but I am sure that all pictures which I do like, one day I will finish them. I really enjoyed working with it, and somehow it returned my confidence in my watercolor skills, because not all my watercolor colorings during October were successful. So let's have a look at Flower Year. Good thing is that I have finally returned to this book after quite a long vacation. But not very good thing is that I decided to do this spread and I realized that I don't know how to color leaves in realistic way using watercolors only. Some berries and some of the leaves are not bad, but the rest of the leaves look totally unrealistic, very flat, and colors are dull and I don't like them. It's like I don't like how it looks, but I don't know how to make it better. So it wasn't very happy coloring, but at least I finished it. I wasn't inspired to color this page with pencils. So I hope that I gained some experience from it, but as I said, it was one of my least successful watercolor colorings. But I wasn't very disappointed and I wasn't discouraged, and I decided to do another watercolor page. This time I did it in Spirit Animals by Ravin Phelan. From the very beginning I really love this illustration on the cover, so I decided to do similar one and using similar colors. I must say that I am quite proud of this page. Mostly because here I didn't use any pencils, only for the eyes here I used a little bit of black to make more contrast on the eyes and around them, and everything else I colored totally with watercolors. I am not experienced at all in coloring fur, on coloring bears with watercolors, so I was quite nervous. But in the end I tried to look at the reference picture, at the original. I tried to copy, and some areas I added from myself. Of course I also added some golden elements here. So in the end I am quite happy with my bear, and now I feel much more confident to start other projects from this book. Now let's have a look at another animal which I have colored in October. Unfortunately, from Selina Fanning books I managed to do only this one. I wanted to color also some Halloween pictures, but as I said, in the end of the month I wasn't able to color much. So I colored these Numbats and Christmas bells. Before I actually got this book, I wasn't familiar with these very interesting animals. When I colored, I looked at reference pictures because they have a very interesting fur. One layer of fur with shorter hairs varies in color from beige to orange and brown, and then they also have longer hairs with white color, and I try to show everything here on this page, and I must say that I'm quite satisfied with the result. And of course these Christmas bell flowers, they helped to create more festive atmosphere. Next picture is also with animal, but not realistic one, but fantasy. A couple of months ago I received this wonderful book by Jade Summer, and I was thinking that I will be coloring first some vampires picture, but in the end I managed to color dragon. Let me show you my dragon. I tried hard to use a limited amount of colors here. For the mountains, for the hills, for the sky I used Prismacolors. I think that everyone is familiar with this great lavender, peach and deca pink colors. They are quite easy to distinguish, and I love to use these colors for the fantasy skies. But on the dragon, when I realized that I will need to color each and every scale on the body, I decided to use quicker way of coloring, so I even used my alcohol-based markers in gray and black colors, and then I added golden shining and brighter elements along the tail using polychromos pencils. In the end, I am very happy first that I started this book, and second, I am happy how this picture looks, so it's a nice start, even if I hoped to do more from this book. Another nice moment in October was that I finally returned to Saga och Zakner. I love this book, it's one of my favorites, and I don't know why I hadn't touched it during previous months. Mostly it's because I have such a huge collection of books. But I finally returned to it, and in October I did this Red Riding Hood. Probably I was a little bit too active in creating background, and now the whole page looked a little bit too busy, a little bit too overwhelming, but I really like the look of these fall leaves. I love these fantasy elements which I colored here, that for the leaves I used unusual colors. I even love this green mushroom, and I am glad that my creepy Red Riding Hood wasn't lost among so many things on the background. I will try not to abandon this book anymore and to color more pictures in it. And finally, my last project which I want to show you is my first finished picture from Tatiana Bagema Nice Little Town. I did it to celebrate birthday of my friend. I selected this picture with many sweets. It was a very long coloring, I was surprised, but of course this page is very detailed, and I tried to color everything in a realistic way and in the same time not to lose the main character, this very cute mouse baker. I am glad that I discovered that I do like style of Tatiana Bagema, so I have purchased her Christmas book, and I hope that starting from mid-November we will see more of her books on my channel. As I said, in the end of the month I had some difficulties with coloring. I was a little bit disappointed, I also didn't felt quite well, so I started several projects and I didn't have time to finish them. I have 4 pictures which I need to finish in the beginning of November. I hope that I will get back to my active self soon, and that in November I will manage to color something interesting and to share my pictures with you. Thank you for your support. Thank you for the new members of my channel. Thanks to all my patrons. And I hope that pictures which I did in November didn't disappoint you, and I hope that my November projects also will be interesting for you. Thanks for watching and thanks for your support. See you very soon.